G'day friends, welcome to today's video. A few videos back, I showed you a journal with me where I was kind of talking about getting back to the basics. So I thought what would be fun today is if I grabbed my first art journal that I ever started and finished and recreated a spread from that. So this is my first art journal that I ever got. It's a Dilutions journal, the small one, and today I'm going to recreate this exact spread. I'm not going to do it exactly, I'm going to use that as inspiration to recreate the new one, but it's pretty close. And I'm going to use all the things that I've learned over the past couple of years since I did that first one to complete it. So I can't really remember if those illustrations were the originals for these digistamps or if I did the digistamps based off of that illustration. Either way, I don't think it matters. All I just wanted to say is that I am using a digistamp to do it, so I'm cheating. I wasn't going to illustrate it because I knew I had the digistamps, and I think cheating is a really good way to start a challenge, don't you? So it wouldn't be me if I didn't cut that corner. So basically, I got the digistamps out, got my Dilutions paints out. What was so funny about this is I've actually not progressed at all in how I did this background. The paints that I used originally were Dilutions paints, and it was these exact colors. And well, actually, I'm not sure if it was Calypso Teal, but I'm pretty sure it was. I used these exact colors, and I applied them with a makeup sponge the first time, and I'm applying them with a makeup sponge this time. The only difference is this makeup sponge is a triangle wedge, and the first one was a round one. So I've upgraded. If you could say that was an upgrade, I'm not sure. Anyway, so now I'm Zentangling and doodling all over the faces. I got really into it and just did a ton of inking on these things. I mean, I was just Zentangling for ages. Very therapeutic, so I'm gonna skip therapy this week. No, it was such a fun, like, relaxing thing to do. Honestly, I feel like maybe I should just print out sheets of these and just do them whenever I'm feeling like I should just zone out. It really took me back. But yeah, basically I've seen this challenge done before, a ton of times. It's been a challenge on YouTube for thousands of years. It's a lot of artists and illustrators will do this challenge. I think it's like a redraw this challenge, or I'm not quite sure what everyone calls it. I think everyone's got their own version, but basically the artists and the illustrators will go back through their older works and they'll pick out an image and they'll redraw it with all the skills that they have since they first drew it. So some people do it every year. They choose an image and every year they redraw it to see, how they've changed in a year. Some people pick one from when they were like 4 years old and redo it, and so obviously a lot has changed. But I hadn't really seen anyone in the art journaling community do it, and I was just super curious because, we play with so many mediums. Sometimes I think we learn a lot about one, and one we just don't touch since we've first done it. But it's different. Our styles get taken in so many different directions. Our influences change, the way we work changes, and so obviously I've finished it at this point, so I know how it turns out. The one thing that I will say changed the most since I first did that page in 2015 was how I work. It wasn't particularly how I do this line work. I don't think anything about, the skill of drawing all these lines has become any better for me. I think it's about the same, to be honest. I tried the stenciling thing with the inverted monochromatic, pattern on the neck, which was just super ultra and so unnecessary. But it was also therapeutic. But yeah, I don't think anything about how I approach these faces changed. Except I didn't do it with pencil. The first time I did map it out with pencil and then I inked it. And I think that goes hand in hand with how what I'm trying to say, and how I've changed the most since 2015 is how I approach the works. I'm not so precious about it anymore. I don't plan it out as much as I used to. I used to sit down and plan it from start to finish. I would think about the background colors and I'd think about the foreground elements and what I wanted here and how I would put that there, and I'd piece it all together and then I'd take it apart and piece it together a different way and take it apart, and it would take a whole day just to figure it out, which back then I thought was great because I was still learning, and however long it took me to learn, I had nothing but time basically. So I was really into the process and figuring it all out. But now I think I just work so much more intuitively, and it was something that I remember seeing a lot of everyone that was at these trade shows or anyone that I saw working on YouTube that just seemed to be able to pick up anything they wanted and just put it to paper and start doing it. And I always thought, oh, I can't wait till I get to that point, because it just looks so much more liberating. It looks so much more enjoyable to not have to stress about where things were going. Like, you just saw that I did all that the work on the eyes, and then I just cut it off because I wanted just the black outline. I didn't want any white halo around this image, so I just cut it off. And I thought, you know what, when I glue it back onto the page, I'll just grab my black pen and I'll put the eyelashes back on, I'll put the wing back on. It's not gonna matter. That would be easier for me to do that than to fussy cut around those eyes. So it's stuff like that you pick up over the course of time, just playing and experimenting. Using all these like little fragment die cuts that I just put out, all these little sample pieces, just cutting them up and making earrings out of heads and, bodies into hats. It was just, I never used to do stuff like that. I would definitely collage and I'd try, but you'd laugh if you ever saw how serious I would take it. Like, I just have to plan it out. I would, audition pieces over and over and over and over again. And, the quirk had to be just right, and it had, you know what I mean? Like, it was just so overly thought out and so precious. It would just take me so much longer, and I much more enjoy the process of being intuitive these days than doing that. But that's not going to work for everyone. If you're someone out there that really does enjoy the planning process and that makes you feel good about the process, there's no need to change that at all. Obviously, we're all supposed to do whatever we need to do to enjoy ourselves. So this is by no means a PSA to tell you to change the way you work. If it's working for you, go for it. But just one thing I noticed about how I've changed over the 2 years, and I've also been pushing myself to play with things that I think aren't really appealing to me, if that makes sense. Like, what I'm doing now, I cut that body in half to make earrings. Those look like half an umbrella to me, and I thought, I don't like that, let me find something else. And I thought, you know what, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna use it. When I put that little dress on the head, I thought, oh, this looks like a chef's hat. Like, I don't want it to be too much like a chef's hat. I want it to have some interesting shape, but I don't want it to be a chef's hat. And then I thought, why do I care? It could be a chef's hat. Someone's going to interpret it as a chef's hat, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I think I'm really, really experimenting as well these days with not being so precious and just, trying the things that kind of make me feel a little uncomfortable, make me second guess myself and question myself, because I think that's a really important step in having those happy accident moments. If you're being way too conservative and reserved about the process, I feel like you're kind of limiting yourself in what you might be able to accidentally discover. I think everyone's got these ideas in their head that they think, I'm going to try that one day, but I'm not going to try it today because I don't want to fail today. And you end up putting it off, and you put it off, and you put it off, and it's always kind of in the back of your head that, yeah, one day I'm going to try that, one day I'm going to do that, one day I'm going to have the courage to do it. All I want to say is do it now. Figure out if it does or it doesn't work for you, because then if it doesn't work, you can free up that space in your brain for a new idea to come in and rest. Or if it does work for you, then you're having one of those moments where you're like, yes, this is the direction I'm going to go in now. I'm going to try this for a while. I'm going to see what happens. And I think if you're willing to be a bit more brave about trying those things, I think those are the times where you're going to have those happy accident moments where you just think, oh, this is what I was looking for. So just some of the advice that I want to give you today is to try those things that are going around your brain that kind of scare you a little bit. Maybe tear up half your page and see what you do. Maybe grab one of your illustrations and paint over a third of it and see what's left. They're crazy ideas, but these are the things that go through my head all the time, especially if I've started something on a page and then I'm going back into it. That's when I start to get really cautious about what I might put down. And I'm really trying to get over that and just do what feels, natural to do and deal with it. So, yeah, because especially doing this video today, I noticed working from start to finish in the page, like I did in the video before, and I've done it in a lot of journal with me's. I think, when I'm filming for YouTube journal with me's, it's a different process because I do often start and finish at the same time. those aren't the times when I think you're ever really going to see me discover anything, because it's kind of formulaic the way I do it, and I don't think those are the moments where you have those happy accidents, if that makes sense. Maybe one day on video I'll have this like crazy moment where we all figure something out together, but for the most part, just because it's a very linear process from start to finish, you know, the idea and the concept is there, and I kind of have an idea about the execution and what to do. You know, I'm not really trying any of those weird things on camera. That's more the stuff that I do in the safety of, you know, off screen, which I'm sure you do the same thing too. Until you know it's going to work, you know, I don't think you typically broadcast yourself out to the open public. Maybe I will one day. Maybe I'll just film myself having a creative play and see what happens. You just never know. You never know when it's going to happen, when that, you know, that random burst of inspiration will hit and you'll get something that's just like, oh, this is what I've been searching for, like this is what I wanted. Anyway, I'm going to take you on a little bit of a side note. Someone asked on the Burke Mates group if I had any favorite products from Creativation that I saw, and there was a few I've seen. I haven't really watched many videos from Creativation, but I noticed that Diane Reevely brought out a new Traveler's Notebook system, and she's got these Traveler's Notebook inserts. So I'm very curious to get my hands on one, because I want to see if it's the same paper that's in the journals, because I love the journals. I think I've raved enough about the journals, and if I can grab a notebook insert with that same paper, I'd be curious to see if I'm more inclined to use that over some of the other inserts that I have. Yeah, just curious about that. The Dylusions paint pens, I was such a big fan of when I first got them. I got sent these as a part of the Ranger Ink Designer Challenge to make that hat. And I played with them. I've been using them ever since, and they've been great, super fine, but I've actually found a lot of troubles working with them today, and I'm not quite sure what happened. So I was loving them, and I was going to sing their highest praises, but I'm going to have to hold off on that because I have run into so many troubles today to make them work. Saying that, I just see the Posca just flooded all over my page. That's what I mean. I didn't even care enough to go back in with the blue paint and fix that. I thought, you know what? It's fine. Go with it. No one's really going to know that. I'm just going to put all these extra details and elements all around the page anyway. It's going to be the last thing you'll look at. Probably the first thing you'll look at, because I just told you about it. But that's what I mean. That's totally different to how I would have approached that 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I would have gone back in with this tiny little paintbrush and fixed that, and, you know, really tried to restore it like a museum quality. I would have spent an hour trying to fix that mistake, you know, and then realize at the end, oh, it's kind of I didn't need to do that. So I think that's one of those things you learn over time, just to not be so precious. But yeah, so I'm going to hold off on recommending those Dylusions paint pens. Honestly, I've seen more good reviews than I've seen bad reviews, but typically with any thin paint pen that is that's not like one of those felt tip Posca ones, I have a problem with. I don't know, the Derwent Graphic kind of seems like a Dylusions paint pen to me. They seem like the same kind of a thing, and I had problems with the Derwent Graphic as well. So I'm just going to leave that there. If you guys have them and you guys ran into any problems, or if they've been working completely fine for you, let me know. Honestly, I think it's just one of those things that is just hit and miss. I think we've all heard enough now, you know, the perpetual search for the perfect white paint pen. You know, I stick with Posca and a Uniball Signo for my white highlights and details, but yeah, I don't know about the Dylusions. I'm just kind of on the fence. I'm not on the fence about any other Dylusions product, but unfortunately, yeah, the paint pens weren't a 100% success for me. So, I'm not going to label this challenge anything. I'm not going to say, like, we're starting anything, but if you do this challenge, if you go back to one of your earlier journals and recreate a page, please tag me on Instagram and let me know that you did it, because I'd love to see your journey and your process. I think it's super important to acknowledge your growth and take pride in that, and there's no better way to see how much you've grown than to recreate something you did years ago. So I'm going to show you a bunch of close-ups. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I got crazier. I think I definitely got crazier over the past 2 years, and probably 2 years from now I'll add even more. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching.